Hey guys, it's Mike and you're watching Mike's Rockin' Relics, and before I start the video today I just wanted to welcome all the new subscribers and thank everyone for coming on board to the channel. It means a lot, so really appreciate it. Thanks very much. Today on the show I'm going to talk about a really rare guitar and one that I've never seen anywhere else, so it might be something that maybe you haven't come across either, and we'll get into it today. So let's take a look at the Hofner 6-string electric. So today on the show we're going to talk about a guitar that's a very strange animal indeed. In the 1960s, Paul McCartney was so famously associated with the Hofner bass. He really became the spokesperson for that bass, and if you think of this bass, he's definitely the first bass player that comes to mind that uses one. And this is where this guitar relates to. So in the 1960s, while the success of Hofner's retail sales on the bass were soaring due to the success of the Beatles, they decided it would be a good idea to make a 6-string electric version of that bass. But it didn't sell as well, and there's a few reasons for that. We'll get into this today, and I have one of these 6-string electric violas, and we'll take a look at some of the finer points of this instrument. It's pretty interesting and not one you come across every day, so I thought it'd be good to do a video on this. All right, here it is. This is the case, and obviously belonged to Jack at one time. But this is all original, and it's definitely seen some action, but I love these old vintage cases, and it's got a really good patina to it. And if I open it up, here it is. And this is a 1968 Hofner viola 6-string, and it's a beauty. But it's got some issues. I'll tell you about that. It seems to play just fine, but it does have a couple of small issues. Well, maybe not even small, but a couple of issues. We'll take a look at that. But this is the 1968 Hofner viola 6-string. Here it is, and I've cranked it up, and I'll give you a little taste of. This is pretty overdriven, but. It sort of has some intonation issues a little bit, but it's trying its best. Feeds back like crazy when you're driven up. And clean, it's sort of nice and bright. So it's got something. It's a fairly bright guitar. It does have a 3-way switch. I'm in the middle right now. Back here it's really bright. You can see. Tuning is a little tricky. But it has that kind of almost a Telecaster feel to it a little bit. It was sort of a P90 Les Paul too, but I don't know what these pickups are called that are in here, but it's got that going for it. In the middle, it's definitely a warmer. And at the neck pickup, it's really warm. And there's a bit of a volume boost there with that. And you get that kind of like. It almost has a Les Paul feel. And back here it's got that crunch in it. It's a fairly fast neck. It's the frets are almost non-existent, but it's thin. It's a thin neck, and it's light as a feather. It's totally hollow, light as a feather. And it's got great sustain. Let's take a look at some of the control features. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you're a big fan of rock and roll and you like records, guitars, and stories about rock and roll, be sure to give us a like and subscribe and ring that bell. It helps us to grow the channel and keep more stuff coming. Thanks a lot. Control features on here. This is like somewhat of a kill switch almost. It'll silence it and click it back on. We've got a selector switch that helps engage some of these controls here. A volume and a tone fuzz boost, which is really interesting, and I can't really, it seems like there's a bit more gain, but I can't really tell the difference there. And a treble boost, which makes it a bit brighter. And I think the selector I've used right here is doing both of those things right now and getting them both to kind of be boosted or a little bit louder. It's an interesting control. You can see the wood grain in this, and the checking is quite nice on it. But it's a very thin wood, and kind of this trapezoid tailpiece, which is a bit of a pain to restring, but everything goes through there. And if you don't use light gauge strings, stuff gets stuck in there pretty easily. And this is the Hofner, original Hofner pickups. You can see the name on there. That is what is going on with the pickups. Pretty cool. This is the model that did not have the whammy bar, the tremolo vibrato arm. It didn't come with this one, so this is the cheaper model of the two. Probably more common, to be honest, because I think people wouldn't have bothered necessarily to spend more. But that is what's happening down here. Back has some world-class buckle rash going on right here that's definitely seen some action and lost some paint, but that doesn't bother me at all. It's got the access panel here. Probably needs a general cleanup. I haven't really done that yet, but it's got some other problems that I'll show you about. But this is kind of the back and how things look. And it's a kind of a beautiful instrument when you look at some of this graining and things like that. It's really interesting. See here, the neck has been played a lot. There's a lot of wear on the neck. It's been around, but up at the top is the major problem. This has had a headstock break, and the world's most primitive headstock repair, probably done in the 60s, I would think, is still holding on, no problem there. And with these bolts in it, I think it would last for another 50 years like this. Probably not the world's most cleanest job, but it's working, and it's stayed ever since, and actually the neck plays great. So this is the problem with it. These are the original machine heads, and the Hofner stuff at the top is all original, but this is an unfortunate part of the guitar right here. This headstock break was definitely, it's going to hurt the value, and everything else. On the front of the headstock, you can see where those are bolted in, which makes it impossible to remove the truss rod cover without removing the bolt. So problem number two, although I've never had to adjust the neck, which is kind of interesting. It says a lot about the quality. But that is the what the headstock looks like. So there's a quick look at this Hofner 6-string electric, and you know, I don't know in 1968 who was really buying these or who was after them. I think if you were a Beatles fan, you had interest in this, but if you're a guitar player, you're probably looking at more of a Casino or a Rickenbacker or even an SG, which George was starting to play a little bit at this point. And I don't know if you're necessarily going to pick up the bass 6-string version of McCartney's bass. So I don't know. I think as a bass player, you would buy the bass for sure. That was probably selling well for them, but they thought maybe we'll try it. It was definitely a limited run. It was expensive, and there wasn't a lot of sales, and so it didn't last long. But this is one of the originals. All the warts and everything and problems that it has, it still plays, and I'm still thrilled to have it in my collection. I think I got it It has to be at least 15 years ago now, just outside of Boston, and it's just an interesting guitar, and I like to have interesting guitars. I like guitars that you can't find at Guitar Center, or in Canada we have Long McQuaid. Like things that you can't buy there are ones that I tend to gravitate towards, and I like to have in my collection. So stuff that's a little more unique and interesting and less common, that's the stuff that I like to try to find and keep here. So that's why this guy's here. But I hope you enjoyed that little look at it. If you're new to the channel, we do stories about rock and roll, rock history, vintage guitars, records, and just stories about music, and sometimes places I've gone music related. I'll kind of do an episode on that as well. So if you like all that kind of stuff, that's what I do here. If you're new and you haven't subscribed, that really helps the channel out, and looking forward to bringing you more. So we'll see you next time. Thanks very much for watching.